What's the best build in Guild Wars 2 to play in a Zerg? So in a big, large-scale fight in World vs. World in Guild Wars 2. That's the question we want to answer today. In what else than in a tier list? That's what we do, of course, here on this channel. As always, special shout out to all my dear supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now without much further ado, let's jump straight in and as always start with a disclaimer. This is my personal take on what you should and what you shouldn't really play in a tryhard scenario in World vs. World Zergs. That doesn't mean you can't play a specific spec, just specific ones are way better than others. This might change. This is recorded in August of 2025, but this might change in the future. And I also have to admit that my last tier list that I did on Zerging, I did some mistakes there, but now I want to correct them as well. So they were not only balance changes, but also changes in my opinion on specific specs. Please let me know your takes on this tier list in the comments down below. And now let's start with Warrior. Warrior being the first class is actually on purpose because it's actually a really good class right now in Zergs. It's probably one of the best overall. With the exception of Bladezone. Bladezone, definitely not good here. Don't play Bladezone in a Zerg, not good. Now let's talk about Core Warrior. Core Warrior is actually S tier. Yes, I'm not joking. Core Warrior is really strong in Zergs, has very good potential to kill enemies as a DPS with the unblockables in there. Range damage, just really strong. S tier in Zergs. I'm not joking. Similar things go for Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker is also very good in Zergs, extremely strong wound rip. The bubble is still a good utility skill, so amazing. Yeah, just those two specs for Warrior carry Warrior very hard. Just amazing in a Zerg, and you can even play some heal variant for Spellbreaker. There are so many things to run and consider. Typically you would play both of them as a power DPS and carry your squad with that, but you could even go for some kind of healing build here. And of course, you also have the banner in there. It's a core skill, really strong as well. Then we have Berserker. Berserker is not as good at Spellbreaker and Core Warrior. You can still play it. For now, I would say you can play some Greatsword, Arc Divider memes or something like that. Maybe A tier, maybe okay. Something in between, I would say. Maybe let's leave it for now in like, I don't know, it feels, let's leave it in A tier, low A tier. We will see if I have to adjust it later into OK tier, but I think it's definitely way worse than Core Warrior or Spellbreaker. That's actually not, I'm not joking. This is how I think it is. Now let's continue with Revenant. Revenant being a class that got introduced with Heart of Thorns, and ever since then I was actually quite good in Zergs. So Core Revenant is just not good. I would not recommend it, even though maybe it's actually okay because you have some Chalice application. You could also heal a bit, but it's just, you would never play it, you know? So sometimes I'm a bit blunt in this tier list here because if you have a better spec, then why would you play it? So I think Core Revenant is probably not good, at borderline to okay, but let's leave it like for now in okay, but still. Then we have Renegade. Renegade just got nerfed so much, especially with the Alacrity, that I would say it's like, don't play it anymore. It's just like, why would you pick a Renegade? Typically not, I would say not that good, you know, I would say no. And with that, to be honest, I also have to remove like Core Revenant down there. They are not good, means you can play them, but they are way better specs there. So if you want to carry your squad, pick something in A or S tier, keep that in mind. So let's leave it for now like this, and I'm a little bit blunt here and put a lot of stuff in not good because sometimes you just want to play something that is actually helping your squad and not like pulling it down. Then we have Herald. Herald is, I would say, Herald might be okay here because you have some buffs there, so you can do some damage, but it's somewhat similar like Renegade and Core Revenant. I think they are like, you would not pick it because you have another support on Revenant that is just way better. So I'm not sure. I think let's leave it like maybe like this because they are very close together. But S tier for Vindicator. Vindicator is just way better. Why is it? Because you have so much healing, you can dodge on the spot, therefore you don't have to move if you want to actually stay on your tech, and it's amazing. It's a really good spot, really high healing output, and just a lot of useful stuff with projectile denial as well on top of that. Really strong spec. Highly recommended if you want to play a support Revenant. This is the spec you would choose. S tier for sure. Before I go to Guardian, I want to mention, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more content and more tier lists like that, don't forget to subscribe. But now let's talk about Guardian. Guardian is a spec that was always really strong in Guild Wars 2 competitive World vs. World for sure. and that didn't change that much. So let's talk about Core Guardian. I would say Core Guardian for me is, especially if you just spam the auto attack on Hammer, it's actually an okay tier spec. I would say it's okay. It is not like insane value, but for me it's okay. And then we have Dragon Hunter, because that's the thing why Core Guardian is just an okay tier, because Dragon Hunter is just better. I think Dragon Hunter is for me an easy A tier spec, really good to play as a DPS. It is not insane like the S tier DPS specs here, but definitely good. And you can also play some nasty blocking things where you spam a lot of H's and blocks out, that can be really good as well. The problem is you have a lot of unblockable things in the meta currently, with Warrior being around and stuff, and later about Mesmer stuff as well. And that means that it just loses a lot of value from its block, and you will die so much because you have to be melee a lot of the times. It feels not perfect, but it's a good DPS spec A tier. Then we have Willbender. I mean, Willbender is for me, it's just not as good as, it's definitely like okay tier, maybe like not good tier. I think it works, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely subpar than it's maybe Dragon Hunter and of course also Firebrand. I would never choose Willbender, to be honest, in a Zerg if you really want to carry your group. Then you have Firebrand. So Firebrand you can play as a full healer. It's okay. It's actually quite good there. Has a lot of stability access. It is a little bit annoying with the quickness application if you want to do that, or if it's your just general, like the support elements can be a bit annoying to deal with and it's not the easiest to play. But there is a Celestial build that is also very, very strong as well. And I'm not joking. So I would say because of the two builds that you can play on Firebrand, and it's very nice with stability, uptime and stuff like that. Easy S tier, really, really strong. Use it if you know what you're doing. It's not the easiest build, but if you know what you're doing, really hard carry your squad as well. Let's now go to the medium armor classes. The medium armor classes are a little bit like worse than the heavy armor classes, I would say. Let's start with Thief. Thief is quite easy. Core Thief, not good. Daredevil, not good. And Deadeye, not good. Why is that? Because they are just single targets, very squishy, don't provide any boons and stuff to your allies. Yes, you can snipe out some backline or some commander pulling or whatever if you really wanted to, but it doesn't feel like a good spec to play in Zerg, and don't recommend it. That's just the truth. I'm sorry here for all the Thief mains. If you want to play Thief in Zerg, you have to go Spectre. Spectre for me is a good spec. It works, don't get me wrong, as a support. It is not really a DPS build, it's really a support spec. I would say it's low A tier for me. It works, it can help your party and stuff, but it's not S tier yet as a support. The problem is that a lot of supports in S tier are just way easier and way more useful in a lot of scenarios, where Spectre can be really good, don't get me wrong. I just think it is not worth all the time to spend a lot of time learning this if you could learn just something way easier and probably also more output. So A tier for me works, but not S tier yet. Let's now cover Ranger. Ranger is quite easy. Core Ranger, don't play it. Soul Beast, yeah, I mean, Soul Beast is also like okay, maybe like somewhat like Willbender. You could play it with stance share or something like that, but I mean, it doesn't provide that much value. You know, they don't have a perfect weapon for that. It's like, it's okay, yeah. Then we have Druid. Druid is funny because Druid is obviously as similar as in PvE, full healer, and it's really good. You would not run it in every single subgroup typically, but if you have a couple of them in the Zerg, it's really nice. A lot of revives, a lot of healing, a lot of cleanse, just really strong. S tier support, definitely play it if you are Ranger main. If you don't want to play a support, you would go for Untamed. Untamed DPS is surprisingly strong. You have a lot of DPS options, you have very annoying things in your kit as well. Projectile blocks, you have some boon removals, stuff like that. It's actually also good damage. I would say it's actually low S tier, yeah. If you play the correct build, it's low S tier. If you don't know what you're doing, it's A tier, or even lower. But I think high A tier, low S tier, that's where I would put it. So you can see Ranger is surprisingly good in the current meta. Now let's cover Engineer. Core Engineer could be okay actually, because you have some utility in there. And yeah, I would say there are some funny things you can do with a Core Engineer. So I would put it in okay tier, but it's borderline. And then we have Mechanist. Yeah, Mechanist just got nerfed. Don't play it anymore. It's not good. Don't play it in a Zerg. Then we have Holosmith. Holosmith is a nice DPS build. It got nerfed a bit and it's not as broken anymore. So I would put it in high A tier. It's definitely a good DPS build, but it's not as good as, for example, the Warrior specs in my opinion. So I would say high A tier for Holosmith. And we also have Scrapper here. You can play either as a full DPS build, which is then I would say around A tier, maybe low A tier or something like that. And if you go for support Scrapper, you put it easily in the S tier. That's why I go into S tier. Really strong spec, super speed, stealth access for your group, and just nice utility, healing, cleanses, everything in the kit, even some stability. It's just really nice. S tier support, even playable as a DPS if you wanted to. Scrapper, good for Zerging. Now let's cover the light armor classes. Let's start with Necromancer. Core Necromancer is just like, what are you doing? Just tanky and don't provide that much value. Yes, there are probably some people in the comments that say, oh, Core Necromancer is amazing. But come on, why would you pick that if you have the other 3 elite specs? They are just way better. Then we have Reaper. Reaper is a DPS spec. You can't play that as a support. So you would either play it as Condi Reaper, which is not that great in my opinion, or you play it as a Power Reaper, maybe with some Condi traits in there just to annoy the enemy team. So I would say it's actually S tier. I think Reaper is really strong for DPS, really nice. Definitely high tier build. Play it if you want to play a DPS Necromancer. Then we have Scourge. Scourge is, even after all the nerfs, it's still a good build. You know, you can play it as a support, you can play it as a Celestial build, you can play it as a power build, you can even play it as a Condi if you wanted to. There are so many options. Especially the Celestial Scourge, in my opinion, goes into S tier, but even the others can be argued to be really high. You have, even with the horrible long cooldowns, it's just amazing. Breach is strong. You have really nice corrupt potential. That's amazing. You know, this build is just, you can't get it out of the meta. It's so good. Scourge, S tier still. And then we have Harbinger. That is surprising. Harbinger is a spec that with the transfusion changes actually got skyrocketed into a high tier. Because you now can run a staff, can apply a lot of nice support with the staff and healing, while also providing quickness around you. And it's just really nice. You have the Cope Elixir with the elite skill that is also really strong if you share it to your allies. So as a support build, this is S tier. Yes, I'm not joking. Support Harbinger and Zergs is now S tier. It's really strong if you know what you're doing. Highly recommend to try it out. Let's now cover Elementalist. So core Elementalist I would say is okay as a DPS build or even as a healer, but yeah, it's not good. It's not crazy. Like it's a build that works, yes, and you can make it work, but the elite spec are just better. We have Heal Catalyst. I think Heal Catalyst is really okay. You can also play full DPS Catalyst. It's also okay. That's why it's an A tier. Not a meta build in my opinion, but definitely worth playing. Have fun with it, apply some quickness, apply some boons, and have some very nice healing. If you play the support variant, some nice damage on the damage variant. Yeah, I like it, yeah. 3 times Meteor Shower, who doesn't like that? Then we have Tempest. Tempest got nerfed quite a bit. I think as a support build, it's A tier. As a DPS build, it's okay maybe. But I would say, let's put it in low A tier for now. And then we have Weaver. Weaver is only playable as a full DPS build. And if you know what you're doing, it's probably low S tier, but not a lot of people know what they're doing, so I would say it's A tier, because most of the time you just spam your skills and don't actually burst with your commander, and you die very easily, so I would say A tier. Like Elementalist, good, but no S tier build in my opinion. And you could make some arguments also to change that up. That's just my take, how I think it is. And now let's talk about Mesmer. Mesmer is very interesting because core Mesmer is just not good. You have some support capabilities in there, but you would never pick it. Why would you never pick it? Because you have Chronomancer. Chronomancer is so insane. Why would you want a core Mesmer if you could have a Chronomancer? Chronomancer is S tier for sure. really strong build. Amazing to play. Great support. Great just utility in the kit. It's always been there since it was released almost. It's so insane. Really good support spec. Amazing. If you want to play support, go for that one, because it inherits the core utility of Mesmer while also having way more utility with the Chronomancer traits and stuff. Then we have Mirage. Mirage you typically only play as maybe Greatsword Mirage or something like that, and spam some DPS from range. I think it works decently well. It is not as broken as it once was. They nerfed it a bit, so I would say low S tier, maybe a high A tier. I put it for now in high A tier because it gets overshadowed by another Mesmer elite spec. Because this is okay, don't get me wrong, it does some nice damage, but it is not perfect for crazy 50 versus 50 try-hard fights. It falls off a bit there in my opinion in comparison to Virtuoso. Virtuoso is just an S tier DPS build in my opinion. High damage output, unblockable boon strips, really annoying to deal with, has really good single target damage. It's just really strong, also very good AoE damage. Definitely the best DPS Mesmer spec. That's why I would say always pick a Virtuoso over a Mirage in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, Mirage is still strong. So this is my tier list that I would do it. Don't forget, this is not really rated from left to right. It's just like how I put it in chronologically. It goes for all tiers. That's just, I think a lot of builds are really strong currently in the meta in S tier. Some builds are okay. And there are obviously quite a lot of builds that are just not good. I would not recommend playing them. And you could actually make a lot of arguments for putting okay builds and not good builds quite similar, because typically I would mostly only go for A and S tier builds if you really want to carry your squad. So like I said, let me know your comments down below. This is just my personal take. Again, disclaimer, I'm trying to be objective here, but of course I will take some subjective opinion in there here as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks again to all my supporters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.